It all started when I switched schools in 5th grade, and I was suddenly doing things like hiding in the bathroom during breaks and lunch because like the blacktop was so scary, just full of kids running around, and I didn't know any of the kids because I was too scared to talk to any of them, and because I didn't talk to them, I didn't know any of them, so I didn't really have any friends, and that was utterly miserable. I got really depressed. I started refusing to go to school, or pretending that I was sick at school to go home from school. I mean, my mom, she knew what was going on. She knew I wasn't actually sick, but I would just straight up refuse to get out of bed. She started teaching me the concept of exposure therapy, and I remember like in the car before school she'd say stuff like, I'll give you $1 or $2, or I'll take you out to ice cream after school if you do a small exposure. It could be really little, and so we like would make them up before school together. I had to go to a group of kids at this new school. I had to go up to them and ask them for their email addresses, and I did, and they were really nice. I like went home proudly with a piece of paper with 6 email addresses written on it. I never actually ended up emailing them, but it was a proud moment. My mom was really happy with me, and we went out to ice cream, and it was great. I think the next exposure that really completely, utterly terrified me was asking for people's phone numbers. And then once I had their phone numbers, I actually had to call them, and I developed this like total fear, like a phobia of phones, which is really common, I think, with people who have social anxiety. Nowadays it's easier because you can text each other, and that's way easier than calling, but back then you really didn't have a choice. More exposures were like stuff like I couldn't get off the phone after 2 minutes by making up an excuse because I was so nervous I didn't want to stay on the phone. I'd say stuff like, oh, dinner now. It's like 4:30 in the afternoon. So the exposures kept stepping up slowly. I had my mother, my lovely, wonderful mother, to guide me through patiently. And high school was, yeah, it was miserable, but by junior year, I ended up making friends with people who I really liked, because that was big for me, because part of my problem was that I couldn't approach people if I thought that they were interesting or cool, which meant that I never made friends with those kids that I thought were interesting and cool. But junior year I did, and I started meeting people through those people, and calling people wasn't such a problem, although boys, I mean, that was always terrifying. I mean, it just got better and better. The more exposures I did, and the more CBT I learned. And although it was a very slow process, I would call myself completely cured now, which means that I am not living in fear and isolation and self-loathing, which is a huge improvement. I have confidence now. I like myself, and I'm not terrified of phones, which is good. I think it was probably learning CBT was probably the best thing that I've ever done for myself. Easily the best thing that I've ever done for myself. And I think it's amazing that my mom has written this book and made that gift that she gave me accessible to anybody. I think one thing to remember is that even after you learn CBT pretty well, it takes time to reorganize the way that you think about people and social situations. So I wouldn't expect to just get better all in one go. It takes time, and it also takes work. You actually have to do the exposures, otherwise you are not going to improve. So good luck.